Hi, Rich. Pellegrino Rich, the equalizer. Pellegrino from the Global Woke Institute, globalwokeinstitute.org, howwokeami.org, at Global Woke Institute YouTube channel, at Global Woke Institute, Instagram and TikTok and so forth. And you can find, all of these videos and more at those uh, channels and locations. So this is part two of the end of white rule and uncivilization, or the breaking up of civil society, and I use that word generously here in America, that we had civil society. So they don't know who they are. What we are witnessing are the last dying gasps of white rule, especially white elite rule, but white rule, period. White identified rule, because white, of course, is just a made up slave term. Nobody's white, but people identify themselves, their false identity. And so it's spiraling downward, imploding right here in front of our eyes. The death of Charlie Kirk was the death of false identity, okay, of their false identity that's wrapped up in white supremacy, American supremacy, male supremacy, uh, uh, straight supremacy, uh, cultural supremacy, religious, American churchianity supremacy, all false identities, but that is our identity as white identified people in this society. Okay? And so the death of Charlie Kirk, ooh, is a real blow to that identity. So they have to remake him, because one of his own, you know, one of their own killed him. Um, and that's killing a part of their false identity. If you don't have an authentic identity, what do you have? You have to hold on to your false identity, or you get violent towards others or violent towards yourself. And we see it all the time, acting out. That was Tyler Robinson, acting out against his false identity. Charlie Kirk was a master of it, of acting out uh, his false identity and manipulating others to cement that false identity and then use it violently against others. Okay, so his death, you know, they're trying to remake him into some kind of martyr or hero, cultural icon, right? Because that what they're doing is trying to make themselves feel good that their false identity is real. Okay, and of course, the master of all of this, Trump and his minions, are using it and manipulating it to their advantage, because they don't know who they are. Okay, they're all wrapped up into this false supremacy identity. So, really, if you're biblical, and most Christian American Christians aren't. They definitely don't follow Jesus. Maybe they follow parts of the Bible, mostly the Old Testament. But anyway, Old Testament. Remember the golden calf? Well, that's what they've constructed. Charlie Kirk as a golden calf. Okay, they're making them in his I'm sorry, they're making him in their image of what you know what they want to be, a good conservative, Christian, and so forth, following, you know, conservative principles, but they're not conservative. They spend millions on hate, military, bombs, on killing others, on manufacturing guns. There's nothing conservative about wasting billions and trillions on that, nothing fiscal conservative, and certainly nothing Christian. Okay, follow Jesus' life, turn the other cheek, right? Practice what you preach. Um, Let him who is without sin judge. So it's a golden calf. That's what they've constructed. They tried to make everything in their image. That's what they did with Jesus. Tried to make him blonde, white, blonde hair, blue eyes. That's not Jesus. So that's what we have to understand. This whole country is built on false identity, on falsehoods, okay, to protect that and project that false identity so that people can amass material. The God here is the dollar, is mammon. That's a God. That's built into the Constitution, built into our laws, into everything, is to protect that, not protect people, children, or anything else. So, imagine celebrating a bigot. I mean, look up the word bigot. Charlie Kirk was a classic definition of a bigot, hating certain groups, so obstinate and convinced that he's right and they're wrong, whole groups of people, and then, uh, agitating people towards violence. He might not have pulled the trigger or killed anybody with his bare hands, but he certainly agitated others and inflamed others towards violence, and one of them actually killed him. So, uh, and that's Trump all over again. That's what he's doing, and everything he does in office is bigotry. So, do we celebrate the Grand Dragon of the KKK when he or she dies, or the Nazi leaders? Because that's what they are. They're bigots. Okay, the KKK, Nazi groups, white supremacist groups. It's the same thing. There's no difference. Okay, some of them do commit violence themselves. Okay, uh, but and some just inflame and incite others to do it. So that's what it's the end of that rule. That's dying out. We have to see it what it is. Hopefully we can save some of them, to help them get their authentic identity. I have ideas about how we can, um, but we got to save ourselves first and build something new, a new system. And let me say this: all other people around the world are doing it. They've given up on America. They've seen through our lies, our false identities, our false image as a world power, false image as the world's policeman, false image as a democracy, and they're moving ahead. Africa is uniting, okay, together. Um, they just met. The Pan African movement is stronger than ever. They've just met with the Caribbean CARICOM nations in Grenada to cement a pact there. So the diaspora, the sixth region of Africa, is uniting. Okay, Asia and East Asia, Middle Asia, India, China, all of those countries are uniting together with other countries. They're forming BRICS, a new economic order. So everyone else is moving ahead and realizes that white identified American and European rule is over. It's the last dying gasp. And I think Europe, I mean, they're being dragged into it, but I think they're awakening to that reality too. They're recognizing Palestine as a separate country, as its own country. The U.S. is behind on everything. So it's the end of white identified rule, and it's the end of U.S. rule, if we ever ruled anywhere, much less ourselves. So what? So what's next? That's the important thing. That's what we need to see. And by the way, I'm not talking only about Republicans or MAGA when I'm talking about white identified rule. White Democrats, white liberals, we're, or they are weak, very weak, fragile, white fragility, American fragility. They have Christian or American churchianity, fragility. Many of them are voting for a resolution to honor Charlie Kirk. Only the black congressmen have voted against it. Okay, some of them have come out and praised him publicly. Even Gavin Newsom in California, And if you watch the news, every commentator everywhere calls him a conservative political activist. He's not conservative. He's not political. He's a bigot. Okay, he's a activist, active bigot. Okay, but they're all bowing down to the golden calf. Okay, weakness. It's white fragility. It's American fragility. Male fragility. Don't put your trust in any. I know it's funny coming from me. Any longer in any white males. Period. Okay? Some of us are awakening to our authentic identity, and we may be allies and utilize us as such. Okay, that's my role. I recognize that's my role. I'm confident in my identity. I'm not full of guilt or anything like that because the truth shall set you free. I'm free. I'm free of any of these false notions of supremacy. I mean, that lifts a weight off your shoulders when you don't have to be better and act falsely better than others. So, a new world order is coming. It's not going to come down from the sky, it's going to come from the grassroots up. We're going to build it. We've got a blueprint, we've got some plans. That'll be the topic of my next probably several videos on how we're going to do it because we've got to replace this crumbling system. And the American system is totally based on white supremacy, on false American supremacy, on false materialist supremacy, false Christian, American Christian or churchianity supremacy. It's all based on that, the Constitution, all of it. So we might be able to salvage a few things from the system. For instance, the concept of federation and confederation of states. That's a great concept. So there's a great shell here, a structure, but there's nothing, the substance of it is corrupt. Okay? And Africa is forming a federation of states. So the Americas are, and so forth. So that's a good thing. But the new values that Dr. King said we need a revolution of values. The new values will be indigenous based, earth based, human and living thing based, not patriarchal, more matriarchal or matrilineal, you know. And so those values now that have been here forever, we're coming back to them. They were supplanted by the capitalist industrialist revolution that turned us into total materialists. Okay, so that's it for tonight. The good news is there's a new world coming, and all of us have a part in to play in it. But protect yourself because as they crumble, as the system crumbles, this fragility, they're gonna they always when it's crumbling, they always blame others, those who are authentic, have their authentic identity, and they try to pull them down with themselves. Think about it. Why do people, if they are going to commit suicide, many white people, or many mass shooters are people who were going to commit suicide. Why do they have to go and kill other innocent people? Okay, I'm not advocating suicide. They could get help, but they go and kill other people together with them. Okay, that's the symptom of white fragility, is that they want to pull everybody else down with them. And I mean, they elected the worst specimen of a human as their leader. So none of this should be surprising to anybody. Okay, it's just a constant reenactment of their lack of authentic identity. And so try to love them, especially if they're your family. But tough love. Don't let them bully you and pull you down, but let them know when they're ready to learn their authentic identity, you're there for them. That's the most we can do. Ciao.